Okay, my outstanding friend, this is going to be fun. We have the Mitchell-Hedges Crystal Skull. And I'm going to tell you right now, that was a living skull and was breathing oxygen at one time, this creature. And it's solidified in a Mudfossil manner in extraordinary conditions. Now, the reason I'm doing this today is because I saw something about a brain being crystallized. And they're all crazy about it. This has just been ignored like it wasn't real. This is absolutely real. I'll show you the reality of it. All right, get ready for this. This is from Mount Vesuvius, this eruption in 79 AD, 2,000 years ago. A new analysis of his remains reveals a lump of dark-colored glass rattling around in his skull was once his brain, vitrified in an extremely rare set of circumstances that have only ever occurred once that we know of in the city of Herculaneum in 79 CE. Well, I'm going to show you some other ways things turn into glass. It's not extraordinary by any means. Okay, this is pretty exciting for me because I do biology, I do chemistry, I do physiology, I do all that stuff, and of course the mud fossils, and the transition between being biology into being solid matter. And they have a chemistry thing in here that we're going to go through. It's fabulous. Now, here's what they're saying. It shows compelling evidence these are human brain remains composed of organic glass formed at high temperatures. They say in high temperatures. A process preservation never previously documented for human or animal tissue, neither brain nor any other kind. Well, I disagree with that entirely, basically. Now, I'd love to talk to these people because this is a true, real, it's human skull. And it is preserved in a mud fossil manner with silicates, not in high temperatures. I don't think this was a high temperature situation, although it could have been, I don't know. But it was during the Great Flood, and there was high temperatures, so I can't discount that. But you see these, you see this? This is inside the skull. You see this back here? What do you see here? Same thing, exactly identical. You see that? You see this? You see this ball right here in the back? This was on its face when it died. This has moved forward, so you have a blank space in the back. See, it's blank right here. It's open. That ball, cerebrum, cerebellum, I think it's cerebrum, moves forward because it was on his face. That's why his lip is turned up and his nose is squished back. The teeth are so fabulously exactly perfect, it's just hard to believe it could have been real, but the jaw is actually articulating, it moves. This little hole here, that's normal. That is absolutely normal in a human skull, in the jaw. And all of these nerves, and there's no possible way that anybody could have carved this and put those nerves inside the brain. It's just absolutely insane to think that. Everything stacks up. If this head was on its face this way, all that stuff would have pushed back, which it did, and the back of the brain would have drifted forward because it's made out of soft tissues. Now, does this rule out the fact that it was boiled and hot? Maybe, maybe not. But it is literally without doubt was alive at one time. There's just no question about that. If anybody can put up some kind of a defense that I'm wrong, I'd like to hear it. Now, by the way, Santorini over in that area is about to pop as well. That's a volcano, and that is going to be, I think, serious. This is what they found, and in the skull, they found that piece of glass. Well, I would have to assume that they're probably right, because the volcanism and the aftermath of that is extreme heat, and of course magma flows and all kinds of molecular exchanges. And that is what causes glass to form. It's a It's a chemical process, and we're going to go through it because they have a nice explanation of this, very nicely, about chemistry. It's not necessarily about this process, but it's about chemistry. They come down here and they talk about how they figured all this out. Theoretically, anything able to melt can turn into glass. Well, this is the one we want to look into, this one right here. This is fabulous. Doing solids. Crash course on chemistry. Now, you should start to think about chemistry, because chemistry is totally wrong right now. They don't understand dipole electron flood theory. Until they understand that, they're never going to understand chemistry. So, because the periodic table has to change a little bit, and the whole nature of how things bond together and accumulate and heat, light, all that's just not understood. I'm not kidding you. It's just not understood. Okay, this is their claim. They say the brain tissue studied here is the only known case of preserved vitrification of human tissue as a result of cooling after heating to a very high temperature. The researchers write, this is the only way, in quotations, this is the only way by which such a glass type can be preserved in a geological or archaeological record, and explains why this is a unique occurrence and preserves the ultra-fine neural structure of the brain. That's neural structure is the nerve fibers. And yes, they did find the nerve fibers in that brain, and they have them also in this brain, right there. They have converted into glass. Yes, I agree with that. Theirs is not unique by any means. I have a heart here that has turned into glass. All kinds of things turn into glass. All right, just to show you, this is a heart. This is also a heart. Right here is the right atrium, is right over in here, and it blows out through the supravena cava. All right next to it is this. Okay, which is the aorta, and that's the aortic arch. All right, and that's where this red blood is, right here. This right here, you see that different texture right there? That's a dense, thick left, the left ventricle wall. And these are very heavy, this one and here. And these are what pumps your blood out through your body. And you can pump 6 gallons of blood in 1 minute through your body. 6 gallons. You can't even fill your car up that fast. 6 gallons in 1 minute. I don't think. It's very, very close. You can pump more blood with your little heart than you can with your gas tank. As fast as you can pump. This will pump just as fast. This is glass. That's glass. This is silicon is glass. And that's what this is. And I have a lot of silicon. I have another heart here that's cut in half. So I can get down inside and see the ventricle, the heartstrings. There's all kinds of heartstrings in here. Hold on a second. You see these? These are the heartstrings. This is cut off like this. This is the bottom of the heart. It's cut off. I can see the heartstrings right inside here. Then I didn't just do this for nothing. They did that because of the heartstrings. I have all kinds of stuff that they have no idea what they're talking about in geology right now. None whatsoever. And they're making all these claims as a first time ever. Well, no. If you start looking around, you'll find out this is literally biology turned to glass. That's why his lip is pushed back. His nose is pushed back. The jaw actually does this. This was a guy walking around. Now, how that turned into glass like that, that is a good question. But I know for 100% fact, literally all the transition metals have been removed. And all you have is silicates left with the nerve fibers. The nerve fibers are a totally different substance than the rest of the body. They have insulation around them, which is extremely fine, and it is different than any other part of the body that I can determine. It has some extra strength around those fibers that insulate them from everything else. That's why people get all kinds of problems when the chemistry is not right in here. they'll short out. That's a whole other issue. That's biology. I do that too. I do the biology, chemistry, physics, the mud fossils, atomic, theory. Right here, this is the most important part you have to learn. Is dipole electron flood theory. This is truly what atoms look like. They don't look like one big positive in the center and a couple little negatives. No, they're 50-50. But all the positives, which is the black ones, which is the dark matter, goes to the center, surrounded by the white glowy parts that we see as light. You never see that. It doesn't absorb, it doesn't reflect, it doesn't emit, it doesn't do anything. All it does is suck in the white ones, and I mean it sucks them in so hard that that's what creates electricity, is the white ones looking for the black ones. To create electricity, you have to pull the white ones away from the black ones and ball them up over here, and then send them through your wires back to the black ones, and they will push anything out of the way. They'll burn you to a crisp. If you're in the middle between the white ones and the black ones, you are toast. This makes it very, very simple, because chemistry is simple. It's just these two particles. It's only two particles that exist, and they are what makes light. Photons are those two particles together, back to back. That will bounce. This does not bounce. That is a single electron, basically, but it has the dark matter they never knew about. This will go into something as heat, or it will go into something that wants more electrons to stabilize. And that's what happened during the flood and all that. These things were floating around in the waters and all of that, and there's all kinds of chemistry going on. And everything that I have stabilized by picking up on other molecules that fit in with the ones there that were unstable. Your whole body is unstable. Your body right now is just a totally unstable mess of particles, and it's continuously moving particles back and forth. It's called nucleophilic invasion and substitution. It goes on day after day after day. That's how you live. And what comes in is transition metals. Transition metals are the metals that carry, and they're all here. Right in here, all these metals are in your blood. They carry things in, they drop them off, they come back. They have polarities to them, and those polarities mean that they can pick up on things and carry them around, and another one will have a polarity that says, hey, I'd like that little piece of iron you got there. You say, okay, here. And they drop off particles. They come back through your heart, which I showed you, all those little tubes, and it goes back, gets recharged up and cleans it up, gets some more oxygen, back it goes to do its job, transferring molecules through your body. Whenever you eat anything, that's what happens. It gets broken down by enzymes and so forth, and then it floats through your body on these metal carriers and delivers them. There's a lot that's not really fully understood, and most of that transaction happens through your lymph nodes, and your lymph fluids, the blood and lymph fluids. Those are the carriers, and those are the things that keep you alive. Specifically, the lymphatic system is your immunity, is your immune system. It separates you from the rest of the world. Okay, my friends, we are presented with some serious issues in academia. There is extensive academic fraud, plagiarism, and incompetence. I will point out these facts, and this is the most incompetence I have ever seen. And I say it borders on fraud. They can't be this incompetent to not understand what they're looking at. These are heart sarcomeres, and this is just retrieved from asteroid Bennu. This is biological. That is a heart sarcomere, and this is what heart sarcomeres are right here. This is on Earth heart sarcomeres. They have the phosphate layers, which are the membranes, and then the sarcomeres. Identical to what they came back from Mars with, from Bennu, which is an asteroid, because it's a heart. It has the same, and it has the layers, the membrane, sarcomeres, membrane, sarcomeres. Same as mine. Same as I just showed you a second ago. Now, this is the heart. This is actually heart. They went and they took a sample of. This is gigantic. It's about 1/3 of a mile across. And that's not even the biggest one. Now, this is quite obvious that they won't address what's here. And not only that, it has the heart sarcomeres, it has the amino acids, it's got the clay, which is the red blood, it's got all of the minerals and metals that are in blood. Okay, my friends, I suppose we'll leave it at that. The multi-shocker du jours at Mudfossil University, home of the shocker du jour. We started out with glass heads. We ended up in space with gigantic hearts, and now we're going to go to Mars, which has the same muscle as in these gigantic hearts, eroding on Mars. And they claim it's millions and millions of years to do that. That was a creature's body. When it died, I don't think it took millions of years to die. This is the dust that has eroded out of the sarcomeres. This is up on the moon, up on Mars. And here's the crab, the Mars crab. That is, hold on one second, I got a better shot. All right, there's a better shot. This is NASA. Don't everybody's, oh, NASA, you can't believe anything they show. This is Mars, and this is the erosion of the sarcomeres. This is the connective tissue that gives you the strength. This is the stuff that pulls the sarcomeres in and out. This is the supply of blood that supplies all this tissue. It's down in here. This is the return called the vein. Artery, vein, sarcomeres, connective tissue, and dried out, actually bloody, it's a bloody substance that makes the muscles contract. I'm not actually sure how the damn thing works, to be perfectly honest with you. All I know is there's a fluidy substance that forces these things to contract like that, and that's what muscles do. They shrink down. As I showed you before, I don't want to just keep going over and over this stuff, but I have to. Nobody listens. This came from Bennu. This is heart from here on Earth. It's the exact same stuff. It's the exact same stuff that's on Mars, because literally everything is biology. Mars was hit by Venus, all recorded in historical memory of man. This was written down and recorded and is still in the cultures of virtually everywhere on Earth. These are the Mars blueberries, which are identical to the Moki marbles. Same thing, and that's because they are in here, which is called the interstitial layer of your skin. It causes your skin to come back and forth and be able to move. That's why this is stretched. These are the emplacement balls, and these are pinched skin, and that's stretched skin. Simple as that. It makes a nice mat like this when everything's working fine. When they're pinched or squished, that's okay. They pull or they crunch together. Not a problem. That's the way skin works. Well, that's on Mars. And I can tell you that, no question, it's on Mars, because you see this? There's no erosion here. There's no water erosion to speak of on Mars. When it got hit by Venus, it wiped out the atmosphere. Now, these are the things we should be discussing. And they want to go back up to Mars for $11 billion to go return samples. Oh, we're going to look at those. We're going to study those for 1,000,000 years. We can use another couple $100 million, billions of dollars to look at these things. They won't look at this. We have it right here. This heart muscle came back from a heart, which is Bennu, which is right here. Those are the valves of the heart. That's the big valve, and then there's a couple small ones. I've shown this a zillion times. Here's the big one, and then there's the small ones. Now, I think it's time we do some actual research on what we have here in our hands. And I got to be honest with you, I don't like the look of the things. It's just handing out money to people that will say what you want them to say and nothing else. No, I've been shut down by everybody in science 100%, 15 years, having all the evidence and support. And I showed in my last video, it amounts to academic fraud to not examine what is scientifically supported. I have DNA tests and CAT scans, specimens coming out of my ears. New species, they can't just deny this and walk away and say, oh no, that's just a rock. I have these things DNA tested, CAT scan. Yeah, this I haven't had DNA. Well, I tried to get a DNA tested, but nobody will do it. We tried to do it through the ancestry type of thing. I drill down deep inside of them, and I get the blood out of it. Literally untouched. And I send it off, and they couldn't identify it, so they sent it back that they couldn't identify it. I believe the first correspondence we got was we retrieved DNA, and we're looking into what it is from what. And that was it. Then they sent new tests and said, try it again, and we tried a lot. You want to see something? Watch this. Every one of those is a test kit that we were going to try to do to get tests. And they sent them all out, and everything we sent back came back where they couldn't find anything that they could identify, basically. It's not that the DNA wasn't there, they just couldn't identify where it came from. These are all pre-flood things. They don't exist now, a lot of this stuff. Basically don't exist. These giants and, I mean, just crazy stuff, but it's true. So until we get this stuff under control, I don't think they should give them another penny. I don't think they should give them another penny. Shut it right down. And start over again here. Start listening, have an open forum. But to just keep funding it to say the same things over and over and over again, I don't think that's right at all. And I'm standing up here and I'm hoping somebody from the government now, they keep talking about truth. We want truth, we want truth. Well, let's have some truth. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Doesn't mean it shouldn't be looked at. I don't think many people would say I was wrong after seeing the evidence I put out, and especially once I showed a DNA test and the other gigantic specimens I have here, and even like this hair follicle. It's 2 inches wide. There's no denying that. There's the muscle where it attaches. It's called the erector pili muscle. It lets your hair stand up on end. That's the hair shaft, and it's flat on one side, which means a curly-haired person had this. That's the sebaceous gland that oils the hair. This is the hair root, and those two spots are the vein and the artery. It's 2 inches wide. Just look up it's 2 inches wide. It's a little bigger than yours. So I say, until this is examined and discussed and put in the open forum so that we can look at this and look at what does it mean to our past? What's about our history? Because a lot of this stuff, these are giant hearts in space. The ancient Hindus and all, or whatever they were, in Asia and all that place over there, India, they talked about these giant battles in the heavens and people being blown up and everything, and there it is. And then, of course, Mars was written down and it was hit by Venus, and so were we, almost. We didn't get impacted, but it was enough to boil the oceans and cause the Triassic, which is really all my stuff is from the Triassic. I have a Triassic footprint, shows a human footprint in the middle of the Triassic era. That didn't take 52 million years, that took like a week. It just had to settle, and the guy stepped on it when everything was still wet. Just like that, not 52 million years. Everything, and they have gauged all of our history on that Triassic area, right down the street from my house. I'm not kidding you. Dinosaur State Park has these footprints that are, this is one of the best Triassic areas in the world, in Connecticut, USA. And they base timeline of history on the rocks here. They're all on the surface. They're not 250 million years down under. They're just laying right here on the surface. I picked my stuff right up. So it's time, when they start looking at this, Caesar and I, Caesar my goose, Caesar Augustus, all right, he'll be happy to know that his history is preserved. And I'll be happy to know that humanity can deal with somehow. I don't care. I got to be honest with you. At this point, I don't care what anybody believes. I just want it to be able to be shown. Then you believe anything you want. And that's always all I ever wanted. All I even ever wanted. I never even showed my face for 5 years. Probably. I can't remember. I said probably at least that. I just said, here's what it is. Here's what it is. Somebody do something. Never happened. So finally, I just decided I had to come out of the closet here and say, here's what it is, and let's deal with it. And it's still 5 years, more at least, nothing. So I'm saying $11 billion to go pick up rocks on Mars, to go back and get them in another 10, 15, 20 years. I don't know what they're talking about. Now, Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. I think he should be able to deal with this reality of what is this Mars. Mars is loaded with biology, which means I understand where the minerals and the metals and all this stuff is going to be up there. This is not just silly. I understand all this stuff, and nobody else does. At this point, there's no geologist that I have talked to that has any ability to understand any of this stuff. You just look at it, oh, that happened because of this, oh, that's sedimentation, oh, that's igneous, that's metamorphic, that's lava, that's magma, that's and then they give a name to every kind of a fossil. And they call, oh, that's all. It's just, yes, that's not, that was never meat, that was never fascia. This was I'm sure it's magna. Time to stop this nonsense. I'm sorry, I'm just getting very frustrated, and I'm getting more and more vocal, and until some people start to step up, and I'm hearing it. I'm hearing them stepping up, but until we can stop this nonsense of funding the people that just are echoes of what they wanted to hear, and that's all they want to hear, is what somebody else said. And then you just add a little fluff to here, a little fluff there. We'll give you another few $1 million and make it look like we're real smart and we're doing all this fancy stuff, and we'll get a bunch of awards for you, and there'll be a plaque you put on the wall, and everybody will think you're a genius. Well, that's okay. You can be a genius. I don't care. But as long as you look at this, and then let's see what your genius tells you what it is. I say that's a heart. That's almost impossible not to understand it's a heart. And these are the sarcomeres from it. And Psyche is another heart in space that's just phenomenally perfect.